Hey everybody, this is Ty Terrell with IFAS University, and I want to talk about why ankle mobility probably isn't the limiting factor in your squat. It's kind of a thing that's been around for a little while. Is ankle dorsiflexion or lack thereof is what's limiting our squat on the way down. And for the most part, yes, I agree. Like, we need great amounts of dorsiflexion to go deep into our squat. Our knees have to travel forward over our foot, which puts our ankle in a dorsiflex position, and etc. But I don't think, and respectfully, I don't think that dorsiflexion is a limiting factor. I think a lack of dorsiflexion is a result of what's happening somewhere else, like in the pelvis. So, at least from what I've seen with a lot of athletes and in just understanding anatomy and kinematics, is that when my pelvis tilts forward, it throws my center of gravity forward, my center of mass. So if you just watch here, as my pelvis tilts down, the rest of my body responds to that. So you see my spine and my ribs go forward. Well, that gives me this anterior weight shift. So now my center of mass is pushed out in front towards the front of my foot. So in order to keep me from falling, my feet actually plantar flex and push into the ground. So now my feet are actively plantar flexing, which means my plantar flexing muscles are on. When something is on, if my plantar flexing muscles are on, then it's going to be hard for me to go into get great amount of dorsiflexion because my body is actively working against that dorsiflexion. So we see this a lot. When we restore people's hips back to a little bit more of a neutral position, they find a little bit more control. All of a sudden, dorsiflexion increases, and we've never touched the ankle, and they sit way down. They have enough dorsiflexion to get them into a deep squat. So it's not ankle dorsiflexion that's a limiting factor. It's the control of the pelvis and the sagittal plane, and so you can manage your center of gravity back and forth. Now, how do we fix that or address that? So if I'm here, what I do is just simply do the opposite. So you may get someone, and you want to get someone in a ribs down position, probably through an exhale. So if you watch my ribs up, as I exhale, that flattens out. So I'll do it again. Ribs up, exhale, it flattens out. This would be a relatively neutral position. We don't necessarily always know if we're neutral, but at least to the eye, at a glance, that would be a neutral position. This position, this ribs down position, because the ribs connect to the spine, which connects to the sacrum, which connects to the pelvis, they all affect each other. So ribs go down to a neutral position, spine gets to a relatively neutral position, sacrum gets to a neutral position, and the pelvis gets to a neutral position, and that allows me to have full range of motion, full access to all of my range of motion and all the joints around me. And then I can move appropriately. So then it becomes a strength, a motor program issue, etc., and not necessarily a joint limitation. So if you have a squat issue and you think ankle dorsiflexion is the reason, and you even test dorsiflexion and it comes up short, try some sagittal plane core work that forces you to be in this neutral ribs down position with an exhale, not a crunch, because that's a whole different mess. The crunch actually kicks on rectus abdominis six-pack, which can pull us into this. Exhaling allows us to get transverse abdominis and obliques involved, which can actually control the rib cage really well and the hips. So try some sagittal plane core stuff, like pullovers, planks, hand walkouts, things like that, and to address your sagittal plane control, your anterior weight shift, and your squat, and then see if your dorsiflexion actually increases and your squat gets better. So this is Ty Terrell with IFAS University, and we'll see you guys next time.